No one is watching you right now, not even you. So, in this darkness, tell me honestly, which one of you just walked through that door? You have already crossed the threshold. There is no version of tonight where you get to walk back out that door. Watch yourself for a moment without mercy. Out there, in the office, on the street, under the fluorescent judgment of strangers, you stand straight. You nod with discipline carved into your eyes. You perform flawlessly, the man you need the world to believe you are. But study that posture. It was never honor. It was only a costume tailored for an audience, and underneath it, nothing fits. Then the door clicks shut. The costume comes off before your coat does. Your spine, so proud a minute ago, folds into the mattress like a puppet with its strings cut. This is the real you, not the one they applauded, not the one you rehearsed all day, this one. Your thumb finds the glass before your brain finds a reason. Scroll, stop, scroll again. Nothing is being decided, nothing is being built. You tell yourself you're resting, but you are not resting. You're leaking, drop by drop, hour by hour, into a screen that will never once ask what you were actually capable of tonight. An hour disappears, then another. You will call this unwinding. Call it what it actually is, surrender. The man who bowed to strangers all day would not recognize the man who now bows to nothing, for no one. Doing less than nothing, not even for a single second. Here is the fact you keep refusing to look at directly. Your discipline has an audience requirement written into it. It only exists when someone might be grading it. Take away the eyes, and you take away the man entirely. That is not honor. That is a reflex trained by applause, and it dies the instant the room goes quiet. So let's be precise about what just happened tonight. You did not fail to be disciplined. You revealed that you were never disciplined to begin with. You were only ever obedient to an audience. And tonight, the audience already left the building, hours ago quietly, while you were still performing for absolutely no one. There's a version of this you know intimately, the compulsive check. The number on the screen, views, likes, followers, pulled up and refreshed again, seconds after the last refresh, as if it might have changed in that heartbeat of nothing happening. You do this standing up, sitting down, mid-sentence, without deciding to, without even fully waking up to do it. You call this checking on my progress. It is not progress you are checking. It is a tally of how many strangers noticed you today, and you have quietly outsourced your entire sense of worth to that tally, without ever signing anything, without ever agreeing out loud, without ever once reading the fine print of the deal you made. On the days the number is high, you feel briefly, artificially whole, like something in you has finally been proven. On the days it is low, something in your chest actually aches over a number generated by strangers who will forget your name within the hour, if they ever noticed it at all, if they were ever real people and not bots. That ache is the entire disease, named plainly. You have handed the keys to your own worth to people who were never asked to hold them, who never once agreed to the job, and who would not recognize your face if you passed them on the street tomorrow. Don't expect a lecture on the chemistry of your brain. You already know why you are weak. What you have never once admitted, not honestly, is the ugliness of the trick your own mind runs on you every single night in the dark, the moment it calculates that no one is checking. It happens quietly, and it happens fast, and it has never once met a single objection from you. Here is the trick, spoken aloud for the first time. Your mind whispers no one will know, no one will see this failure. It is safe to quit tonight. And you believe it completely, because the deepest shame you have ever feared was always social, never personal. You were never afraid of being weak. You were only afraid of being seen as weak every time. That is why the scrolling feels safe. It's a crime with no witness, so your mind quietly rules that it is not a crime at all. But you are the witness. You were always the witness. You simply trained yourself years ago, patiently, to stop counting your own testimony as evidence. You did it every single time it happened, without exception. You call it wanting to grow. Strip the word all the way down and look at what is actually underneath. You are not seeking growth. You are seeking applause, dressed in growth's clothing. And when the room is finally empty, you rot, because there is no one left to clap for you. Say the true sentence, even if it cuts you wide open. I do not fear failure. I fear being caught failing. That single distinction is the entire architecture of your weakness. It is not laziness. Laziness would almost be forgivable. It is a value system built brick by brick, entirely on borrowed eyes. That is the quiet tragedy of it. So the excuse machine stands exposed. Every justification you have ever built for a wasted night was never about energy or time or being tired. It was always a security calculation. Can I get away with this? Tonight we stop asking that question permanently. Not tomorrow, not eventually. Tonight. There is a specific lie your mind tells you, and it always wears the same disguise. It says, I will start properly tomorrow. Tomorrow feels safe because tomorrow cannot be tested tonight. You can promise anything to a version of yourself that does not yet have to deliver. It is a check written against an account that never actually clears. And you have been quietly cashing that same worthless check for years, telling yourself each time that this one finally would be different. You have never once stopped to ask why tomorrow always inherits the exact same excuse you were making tonight. Notice the arithmetic your mind runs in less than half a second, every single time. The shame of failing tonight, quietly, alone, behind a locked door, feels smaller than the shame of failing tomorrow, in daylight, where somebody might actually see it happen. So your mind selects the version of failure that costs the least in front of an audience. And then, without blinking, calls that calculation planning, as if postponement were a virtue, instead of a hiding place you built for yourself, brick by brick, one comfortable tomorrow at a time. This was never a scheduling problem. It was never really about time management or willpower or even discipline in the way you have always used that word. It is a man who has quietly decided somewhere along the way that his own effort only counts when it has a witness attached to it, and who keeps pushing that witness one day, further into the future, a little at a time, forever, until there is no future left large enough to hold the debt he keeps refusing to name out loud, even to himself. Say it plainly, without the comfortable padding you usually wrap around it. You are not procrastinating. You are negotiating the terms of your own decay, one invisible day at a time, and calling the negotiation reasonable because no one has ever forced you to read the terms out loud until tonight. So tonight, we stop negotiating and we go looking for the one standard that never once accepted a postponed payment, not even from a man far more talented than you, and never once made an exception just because someone was tired. Centuries ago, in this same darkness, a nameless swordsman knelt alone on a wooden floor that no lantern would ever light and no photograph would ever record. No witness, no record that history would keep. And yet in that silence, breathing slow and even, he did not allow his spine to bend even one single degree. No one had ever told him to sit that way. No one would ever have known if he hadn't. He drew his blade in that empty room the exact same way he would draw it before his Lord, before his enemy, before the eyes of the entire world. Not one wasted motion, not one softened breath, not one shortened stance. Because for him, the standard was never the audience. The standard was the sword itself. Nothing more, nothing less. He laughed silently at the very idea of applause. What could a crowd's noise possibly add to a man who had already faced his own soul in the dark and settled every account with it? Their praise was nothing but dust scattered on the wind, a worthless currency, and he was never a man interested in collecting trash. He had buried that need years before in that very same darkness. This is the gap between you and him. Not muscle, not talent, not even the sword. The gap is this: he had already appointed a judge inside himself. One who could never be fooled, never be flattered, and never under any circumstance be satisfied by a half effort performed for an empty room. That judge never once took a day off, never once looked away, never once forgave a shortcut. Once, and only once, he was tested where everyone could see. His Lord summoned him before the entire court to judge his skill in the open light of day, surrounded by rivals eager to watch him fail, whispering behind their sleeves about the nobody who trained alone in the dark. And he performed exactly, precisely as he always had, not 1 degree sharper, not 1 degree softer. This confused the men who did not understand him. They expected him to rise to the occasion, to summon something extra for the audience that mattered, some flourish saved specifically for eyes worth impressing. But there was no extra to summon, because he had already given everything every single night to a room with no audience at all. His Lord, watching closely, understood something the rivals never could. This man could not be flattered into trying harder and could not be shamed into trying less. He had already met the only judge whose opinion had ever mattered long before he ever walked into that room, and no crown in the building could outrank him. That is the final proof of real honor. It looks exactly the same whether the room is empty or full, whether the eyes on him are strangers or no one at all. If your discipline changes shape depending on who is watching, it was never discipline. It was only ever a performance, waiting patiently for its next audience. To him, honor was never a title bestowed by the world. Honor was the unbearable absolute weight of his own eyes, watching himself in the pitch black, in a room where no forgiveness could ever be purchased with excuses. That weight, that exact weight, is what you have been running from every single night with your thumb pressed against that glass screen. It is the only weight that was ever real, and you have felt it your entire life without ever giving it a name. He needed no one to confirm he was a man of discipline. He simply was one. In the one place it is hardest to be one. Alone, unseen, unrewarded. That is the entire definition of honor. Everything else the world sells you is only decoration, no stage, No ceremony, no one clapping in an empty room, just a man, and the plain truth of what he actually did when it counted. Enough reverence. Now we build the man who actually deserves to stand in that same room as the swordsman. 2 disciplines, not 10, not a course, not a philosophy to admire from a distance. 2 actions, executed the instant this video ends. No more admiring him from a safe distance. No more borrowing his posture for a highlight reel you never actually earned. Discipline 1, the ritual of the dark. Take the first or the last 30 minutes you will be completely alone today, and physically remove your phone to another room. Not silenced, not face down, removed. Then choose exactly 1 task and execute it with 0 compromise, as if the nameless swordsman himself were kneeling in the dark behind you. No exceptions tonight. 30 minutes. That is the entire negotiation, and it is not up for further negotiation. Not an hour, not a perfect plan, not the ideal conditions you keep waiting for. 30 minutes, unseen, uninterrupted, undocumented for anyone's approval. Whoever controls those 30 minutes controls the rest of his life. Not 31 minutes, not 29. Exactly 30, executed exactly as promised. Discipline 2, the shadow witness. The instant you feel yourself about to quit while alone, summon him. A version of yourself carrying absolute, unbroken, samurai-grade discipline, standing directly behind you, watching in total silence. You cannot hide from him. He is not impressed by your excuses. He has already heard every single one of them years ago, and he was not impressed then either. When that shadow appears, stop the scroll mid-motion, mid-breath. Straighten your spine. Not for anyone watching, not for the world, but because he is watching, and he is the only judge whose verdict has ever actually been real. Do it before you even finish reading this sentence, before the excuse has time to finish forming in your mind. These 2 disciplines are not complicated. They were never meant to be. They are simply unforgiving, and that is precisely the point. Honor was never supposed to be comfortable. It was supposed to be the one standard you never ever lower, precisely because no one would ever catch you lowering it. It will not applaud you for simply showing up. It will only ever measure whether you actually did the work. Let the world's opinion of you dissolve, just for a moment. Their applause was always borrowed light, and borrowed light casts no shadow of its own. It reveals nothing true about the man standing beneath it. The only question left standing in this room is whether you can look at yourself and honestly call what you see a man of honor. No one is coming to verify this for you. No teacher, no crowd, no notification lighting up your screen. The verdict was always going to be delivered alone, in a quiet room like this one, by the only witness who was ever real, yourself. Not your followers, not your friends, not the version of your future self you keep imagining will somehow show up to save you. The audience is gone. The door is locked. Now, who are you really when nobody is left to answer for? Stand up and prove it to your own soul, not to anyone else's. No excuse survives that question. No performance can be staged for an audience of one who already knows every trick you have.